Welcome back to Friday Night Live on this 11th of February, 2011. We're just a few days away from the state wrestling down at Wells Fargo Arena, and you'll be coming from all over the state of Iowa while you're stopping at your Casey's. Pick up a 2-topping large pizza for just $10, and also pick up a copy of our magazine at 446 locations. And I know they have them.
Oh, you're going to say $456. I'm like, holy
446 locations, and I know they have Casey's and Hy-Vee up there in Mason City, home of the Mohawks and home of Coach Dusty Rhodes as he makes the trek down to Des Moines next week. Thanks for taking time to join us this week, Coach Rhodes. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well, Coach Rhodes, we've tried for weeks to get you on. We finally get to all kinds of things going on in the wrestling world, and of course you're always busy, and last week was the CIML Conference Championship Tournament. Nice finish by the Mohawks in that one.
You know, they did a pretty good job. We got third in that tournament. I thought all of our kids wrestled pretty well. We had, a couple areas where I thought we could have done a little bit better, but yeah, for the most part, a pretty good performance down there. Just, our kids are doing their thing and doing a pretty nice job this year.
Well, before we go any further, we've got to ask you for the.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm going to interrupt this.
You are?
I own the company, Coach, and I am completely separating myself from this next question. So go ahead, Tony.
We just wanted to know, your name of Dusty Rhodes is synonymous with wrestling in the old days. Was you named after that man, the American Dream?
God, I hope not.
Good answer, Coach. I love you. I'll buy you something to eat down at Wells Fargo Arena.
We just had to ask, Coach.
I got this gang down here, Coach, and all we were talking about
the first time I've ever been asked that.
Oh, see? And you guys thought he'd been hearing that all his life.
Well,
that's great. Well, Dusty, before we get on talking about your team, tell the folks who have never met you before, don't know anything about you, your high school days, wrestling, where'd you go to college, the information for those folks, and how'd you end up at Mason City?
I wrestled at Osage High School, went to Warburg, been involved with great programs my whole life, luckily for me, and spent a little bit of time at Pocahontas area community schools, 4 years, and after college, and ended up in Mason City. It's a great community. It's there's a job for a high school counselor and a head wrestling coach that doesn't come up very often, and that's what I do. So it worked out real well, and things are going well in Mason City right now.
Well, being a counselor and a coach, that's got to help because it's physical in wrestling, but it's just as much mental, and counseling is a mental thing. You have to work with kids to get them to understand what your point's trying to be, so that's got to be an advantage for you there.
Yeah, it does, and to be honest with you, it doesn't. We have great kids, great families. That helps a lot, and our kids do a nice job. I have a fun job right now.
Well, we had a story in the Iowa Sports Connection magazine about one of your young men just had to overcome so much this season because of an injury, a stabbing during the summer, and Valentin Flores, and at 135 pounds, ranked number 6, tells us an awful lot about this young man's character and how hard he works.
You're not going to find a harder worker than Val Flores. I mean, I just tell you, that kid is a tough kid, great kid, super nice kid. He doesn't come from the best background, I'll tell you that. But I would do anything for that guy. He's a great kid. He's a hard worker, and you know what? He loves the sport of wrestling. He's kind of become one of those guys in the CMO that other coaches really like to. They appreciate how hard he goes, what he does. He's a great kid.
We're talking to Dusty Rhodes here on the Iowa Sports Connections Friday Night Live. He's the head coach of the Mason City Mohawks, and we're breaking down his team tonight. Coach, you mentioned the fact that you'd been at Wartburg, and now you're in Mason City, settled in. And as we look at the successful programs that people building, did you, when you got involved, make sure that if the feeder system was intact?
You know what? To be honest, it was intact before I got here. Guys like Todd Krieger, who's his brother's Tim Krieger, who won a couple titles at state, and guys like that. I've had 3 of his kids wrestle for me. The kids program was in good shape when I got here, and we've kept it that way. That's what makes it a little bit easier. That's a tribute to Mason City and the community we have here.
Osage is the Green Devils, is it not?
Absolutely.
That is the
Green
Devils.
That's the unique nickname.
I love that nickname.
I'm a Green Devil. I was one. Yeah,
Once a Green Devil, always a Green Devil, Coach, right?
certainly. Yep.
Well, let's talk about some of the young men that have been outstanding for you this season. Of course, they've been ranked by the Predicament, and one of them on top at 171 pounds is Travis Mallow, the senior leader there for you. He's one of the young men you're going to definitely be depending on if your team is going to challenge for a state championship, a tournament, team championship, and Travis is the leader there.
Yeah, Travis is a great kid. He's great. He's signed with West Point. That's the kind of kid he is. He's and to be honest with you, he's really, so far this year, I'm not going to make a prediction, but he has separated himself from the pack this year, and I think most of it was just a decision by him to separate himself from the pack. He's done a nice job.
And that's saying an awful lot because the weight class has some very familiar names with the Miklas kid, of Southeast Polk. Levi Peters, even though at Fort Dodge last year in Class 1A over Twin River Valley at Bode, he won a state title as well, so he's familiar with the top of that podium as well. So that says an awful lot about Travis.
Up until now, Peters, Trav's handled Peters a couple times. Miklas wasn't. Miklas threw some stuff at Trav. I think, some of his best stuff. The matches weren't that close, but those are two kids. If you take a second or two off, those are two kids that can get you. And Travis knows that. He'll be ready to wrestle.
Well, always important if you're going to be in the traditional team championship races, not just the kids who end up on the podium on Saturday night because of the great results throughout the week, but those are the Russellback points. And you've got a lot of kids in the room that have to show a lot of character. Who are some of these kids that you are counting on, whether they lose a match early or later in the meet, that have the character and the guts to fight back and continue to get those points needed for the team to fight for a top 5 finish here in the state meet?
Gosh, we got a lot of them. You talk about 103, little Cazono. He weighs 100 pounds. He's fighting like crazy. Had a great 6th place performance at the CIML. We went up to the clash. That kid didn't. There's a lot of good 3-pounders up there. His record would be a lot better if it wasn't for that. He's going to fight to get in there. Masur Gonzalez, we have at 112. It's turned out to be a real good kid. Bartel at 19. Cody King at 125. He's 13-12, but he's had the toughest time of any of our kids as far as our schedule goes. He seems like every kid he wrestles is a top 3 kid. The list goes on. We've got so many kids that are right there that can maybe score some points in the state tournament. It's going to take a lot of points. Tell you what, with the teams in 3A right now, it's going to take a lot of points to be in that mix.
Now, Dusty, every year, you get in the wrestling room, you have your camps and all this stuff, and you already have an idea of what these young men are about and what you can expect of them. But there's always that one, maybe two, that just go above and beyond what you thought was going to happen when the regular season started. Anybody that jumped out like that for you this year?
A couple kids are 40 and 45. Austin Volvis at sophomore at 140. He's been in the state rankings for a couple kids that he's beat. He's lost a couple matches here and there, but kid's a fighter, just a fighter. He's probably not expected to get through from state tournament from outside looking in, but from inside looking out, I expect some good things out of him. Parker Sturgis got in the rankings at 10th just this last ranking, and to be honest, that kid beat a lot of good kids. It's just a heart of frickin' steel. He's good. I really like those two kids that have been in the middle of our lineup and just done an outstanding job. Been real solid all year. Not a lot of press, notoriety, but they have beat some good kids and been real solid.
Well, Coach, you can tell that you certainly enjoy what you're doing. As you mentioned, it's a great job to have. Well, you're doing a superb job yourself, and we applaud you for that and wish you luck as you strive to get your wrestlers down to Wells Fargo Arena.
Hey, I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great evening.
You too.
Coach Dusty Rhodes, Mason City Mohawks. And
not the American dream, Dusty Rhodes. That's amazing. You guys thought he had heard this all his life.
I didn't say that.
I mean,
I had no comment. and I took a disclaimer on the idiocy that was taking place in this studio.
Wasn't that bad? Wasn't
Talking about all the WWE guys that you watched growing up.
I didn't watch that stuff.
How'd you know so much about it? Huh?
I just, the name was familiar. There's some names that were, you knew about because everybody talked about it.
I just lost complete respect for 3/4 of the staff working here tonight, as they're all very familiar.
So
WWE.
you're going solo the rest of the night.
Yeah. I can find people to sit in at that board. Oh, no, I can't. They're both wrestling fans.
Thank you.
Nice work. Jeez Louise. Anyway, looking forward to next Wednesday, Wells Fargo Arena. And there's still tickets available for the early day sessions, but Saturday night, of course, sold out. As I said last week, I was pretty naive and a buffoon thinking that I could pick up, 6 quick ducats. Had to work some magic to get those babies. That's a tougher ticket than Kenny Chesney or Bon Jovi or anybody coming to that arena. I can assure you that. Holy moly.
So you've been to Kenny Chesney and Bon Jovi at the arena?
No, I haven't. They're on their way there, Tony.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be here in the next. I'll just get you caught up on what's happening in the great state of Iowa at Wells Fargo.
I don't have time because of the work you put
On
me
the
through.
music side,
I don't
Kenny
have time for
Chesney,
entertainment.
country western singer.
My entertainment
Bon Jovi,
is my
legendary
job.
rocker.
I know.
They're going to be at Wells Fargo in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's good.
Just giving you a little update.
Okay.
And if you were planning on going to see Loretta Lynn tomorrow night at Hoyt Sherman with a date, sold out. That saved me as well. I didn't have to go to see.
I'd rather talk about the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and Loretta Lynn. You just went too far yourself.
All right. Why, do you think I was going to go? My wife wanted to go. When we come back, we'll talk to our buddy Wyatt Schultz, the Predicament Wrestling Insider, and this is the time of year he absolutely loves. Then we'll talk to Jeff Weatherman, Ballard Huxley wrestling coach. We'll be back on the Friday Night Live on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Network.